Welcome to another episode of Dad Up, everyone. Thank you guys very much for joining me. I'm excited for the individual I have on today. He's got a cool little platform and he's got going on his social media, kind of some things he's doing on there. But I can't ran across his social media. I think it just kind of popped up one of his reels, and I thought that's very clever. And then so I looked him up, started to learn a little bit more about what he does, and it's really cool. He's got a couple kids and all that. He and I have been chatting over the last week or so. But my good friend Chip Leighton has joined me on Dad Up. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thanks, Brian. Happy to be here and looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, looking at your social media feed, Instagram, you got a bunch of reels, and what he does is he's got a bunch of reels that show different text messages that he's received from his teenage kids, and they're funny. They're short little reels, but you got to check them out. I'll make sure all the links are in the show notes. But what? How did that prompt, Chip? I mean, what prompted you to start? Uh, Instagram page that would be
Mm.
dedicated to this kind of promotion of your kids' text messages.
Yeah, well, I guess it started innocently enough. It started on TikTok like 5 years ago. I was just I was using TikTok just as a consumer of it. My daughter and I at the time would like watch it, and I just thought it was a cool platform. It was like because it was like fun and funny, and just like an interesting new thing. And part of what I love about that platform and Instagram Reels and things like that is, based on how engaging your content is, somebody with no followers can reach like thousands or millions of people if they create something that is engaging. And so
Right.
I tried to. I thought maybe I could maybe I could like come up with something funny and go viral or whatever. And it didn't go that well at the start. After 6 months, I had like 17 followers, so I wasn't hitting it out of the gate. But I was posting just like weird kind of funny stuff. But then after about 6 months, I started posting stuff about my own life, about my marriage, and about like kids and text messages they send me or other funny stories. And that's when it kind of picked up, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, that's just like my house," and "Oh, I get the same messages from my kids." And the text message stuff, and eventually I went to Instagram and Facebook and other places. But the text messages started out with like, hey, just some funny ones that my kids sent. But then it kind of has evolved over the years into where people from all over the world send me their funny texts, and I feature those in my posts and my books and stuff like that. So it's been yeah, just a fun experiment and a wild ride.
Yeah, I think like I said, I ran across, I think, how we get sometimes the just normal feed, somebody will pop up that'll
Yeah.
give you a suggestion on who to follow. And when I came across your stuff, I was looking at a couple reels, and I was showing my wife and stuff, and we were kind of cracking up, and we're like, a few of those text messages maybe not have been exactly what my boys had text me, but I had received similar text messages in some of the reels that I saw. And I'm like, yep, sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. And it kind of took off. I mean, you've gotten a few of your reels in particular have really taken off, but so it's kind of picked up for you.
Yeah, no, the response has been amazing, and I think it is that relatability. So it's the kind of stuff that a husband might send to a wife, or vice versa, or parents might send to their kids, and that kind of helps sort of spread the word. But yeah, like I said, it started slow, and for a while, TikTok, it was primarily a TikTok account, and then that was kind of before Reels itself took off, and but Instagram, yeah, is a big platform. Facebook's actually a big platform for me too, as well. But yeah, it's I mean it's interesting you talk about you've received some similar ones, but I'm in this position where I kind of can see trends and common things. And so there's some texts that like 10 different parents have sent me, like the number of boys who've asked their parents like, hey, what's my maiden name? Like, you would not believe how many boys do that. So I see stuff like that are patterns. The name of my first book was What Time Is Noon, because that's like I've probably seen 12 different versions of that text from kids to parents, because a lot of them just don't know. So it has been an interesting learning experience.
What time is noon? I think I probably got that text message from my boys when they were like maybe noon, maybe when they were noon, is when I got that
Right.
that
There you go.
message, that text from my
Yeah.
boys. So that's cool. So let's talk about your new book.
Mm.
Share a little bit about it, kind of the point of it, and then obviously I want to make sure my listeners know how to get it too.
Yeah, sure. So my new book is called "Dad, Can You Not? A Dad's Guide to Being Less Cringy." So it's they say write what you know. So I figured a book about cringy dads would be a good one. And it's it's uh, it's kind of lighthearted advice about like for other dads like me on like how to be less cringy. So it's what I do in the book is I teach by example, and all the examples are bad. So I've had like hundreds of crazy funny dad stories sent to me by my followers over the years, and so this is like a collection of those as things to avoid. And I also have tons of like teenager text messages because I got to include those, so stuff that like kids sent to their dad or sent to
Right.
mom about dad, that kind of stuff. So I really like the way it came together. It's a fun and funny read. It's very light. You could open up to any page and hopefully get a laugh, but that's the basic concept. So
All right, cool. How old are your kids? I know you have a daughter and a son.
yeah, so my daughter's 18 now and my son's 22. So I'm down to one teenager.
Okay.
But still, getting good content. That's why I appreciate other people sending me stuff. But yeah, at one point my one of my friends was like, you're gonna have another kid like just for the content. I'm like, I don't think that's gonna happen. He's like, look, I got a 12-year-old. Make me an offer. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's one of them's a senior in high school, and one's a senior in college. So fun stuff we've been navigating with them.
Yeah, I think when my boys were, especially when they got into that later years of their teenage years, it was no more of me posting stuff on about them or pictures of them on my
Mm,
social media. I just couldn't do it. Like if you go to my social media, you could scroll through and people go, "Well, you're host the dad podcast. I've been doing it for 6.5 years, almost
mm,
7 years." And they're like, you don't post many pictures of your family. Well,
yeah,
the reason being is because my family doesn't like to be posted. That's
right.
plain
Yeah.
and simple. Like my wife, she has to approve every picture that I post of her.
Oh, oh, for sure.
My boys, same thing. It's like my older son, he doesn't have social media. So he
Mm,
just flat out just doesn't like it, doesn't have it,
yep.
doesn't like so he will flat out tell me, I don't care how good the picture is, do not post a picture of me.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
just doesn't want it. And I respect that. So as a dad, yes, I have this podcast and I'm trying to share dad stuff, but I'm going to respect my boys' wishes and my wife's wishes about what to share and what not to share. So when you go through my social media pages,
yeah.
and you look through, you just kind of scroll through, you will see pictures of my family in there. Yes, because they've all been approved. So those are
Right.
those are approved pictures. But your kids, I mean, they're 18 and so you got a senior in high school and a senior in college, and I'm sure they're probably the same way. Like, Dad.
Well, yeah, it's no, I can definitely relate to what you're describing because it's funny because so like I've never actually shared a picture of my either of my kids on social media. I mean, my wife's been in like a few posts, but my kids like I don't I just didn't feel right to share pictures of them there and but it's funny because I get comments from people like they sort of like feel like they know my family or know the kids or whatever, but they don't. And like I said, now like almost all of the text messages I share come from other people, so it's like I'm more of this community kind of account. So I kind of feel like I don't actually, especially these days, even like share very much at all. That's like truly personal and so it's interesting. I mean, the family's not they're not super impressed with me the way, like the way maybe some other people are when I started the TikTok thing and I used to work in a corporate job for like 25 years and a couple years into this whole gig I left the corporate world and focused like full time on this and so I think my daughter started calling me the unemployed middle-aged TikToker at that point. So like not the most complimentary description. So I get a lot of feedback like that, like oh look, a grown man with no stable source of income, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So they're they keep me humble.
Yeah, I think yeah, I think if I were to do what you're doing, send text messages of send reels of text messages my boys would send me, I think I would stop receiving text messages from them. I think I
Right,
would just
right,
flat out
right.
stop. And I'd
Well,
be like, Dad, why did you post that text message about what I've said to you? Yeah, but same thing with the pictures. Like I said, with the pictures, it's like when you see a picture on my social media of my boys or my wife, they've all been approved. I promise you, they've all been
yeah.
approved. And when it's funny because my younger son's a little bit he's a little bit more receptive to, the pictures, taking
Mm,
pictures and posting them. He's a little bit more cool with it. My older son, definitely not. Like if I take a
mm,
picture and I say, if I want to take a picture with him, I have to tell him, I'm not posting this. Like I literally have to say, I'm just going to send it to your mom. That's the only person
yeah,
I'm sending
yeah,
it to.
yeah.
So, and then he'll accept the picture, and he'll
Right,
he'll he'll
right,
take it. He'll take a picture with me. So yeah, like we've gone golfing and stuff like that, and it's like, hey, let me take a picture with us. So I'm going to send it to your mom.
right.
Okay, but no, you're not posting it. No, I'm not posting it. I promise I'm not posting it. So I have to respect that.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
for you, kind of, how has leaning into humor actually kind of shaped the way you connect with with your kids when things get tense or maybe serious?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in humor. I think, laughter is like a really important part of life. It helps kind of diffuse tensions and just, it helps you enter certain conversations or whatever. So I think just laughing is like a really healthy thing to do and, relieve stress and all that stuff. So, I'm a big believer in it. I think, the I mean, I mentioned like I started this whole thing because my daughter and I would like watch TikToks together and laugh together or whatever. So there's like a bonding kind of thing there. I mean, they like I said, they keep me humble, so they're not gonna like tell me something I posted was funny or whatever, but I think more generally, like people ask my advice about parenting or whatever. I think you do have to laugh, and because some of the text messages I post, like some of the comments will be like, oh, that you should teach a kid, like how to mail a letter, what noon is or whatever. This is on the parents, or these kids, don't know anything, and it's like nothing I post about is that serious. And it's like I think you got to just like use the opportunity to laugh at something that's funny, and then maybe it's like creates a moment to explain something or whatever. Because what I like to say is I'm not criticizing teenagers in any way, and I'm not criticizing parents either, because like some of this stuff, like what time is noon, like you would never, as a parent, you'd never think like, oh, I got to teach my kid what noon is. Like it would never occur to you,
Right,
right? And as a
right.
kid, if no one had explained it, you wouldn't know it. So like there's no fault there, but it just creates a fun moment that's like you don't have to stress about or whatever. So I think it's just, I just think it's a laughter and humor is a good thing, and it's a good way to kind of bring people together, and we don't have to like overthink some of these things.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think uh, when you can play humor into any situation within a family, within the dynamics of a family, especially when you guys may be experiencing something serious or intense, as
Mm.
long as it's not, as long as it's not a completely inappropriate time to incorporate humor, but you know what I mean. So
Yeah,
as long as your kids understand that, your wife understands that, and then it can kind of help release or relieve some of the stress or tension that maybe the family is feeling, I think is great. Um, yeah, when we talk about that, I think about times when maybe I've made comments to kind of lighten the mood a little bit,
mm.
and my kids are the same way. Like they don't think I'm funny. They just don't. I could say the funniest thing. Like I could say something, Chip, and get you like on the floor
I'd be
laughing.
right there laughing, I'm
I
sure.
could get you on the floor laughing, and my boys would be like, "Dad, that was dumb. Like that was stupid. Like that's not even funny." It's not because my boys don't love me. They love me. They love who I do. They love what I do. They love that I have this show. They think it's cool. But they could care less about who I have on, why I have them on, what funny thing I supposedly said or
Yeah,
did. It's just that's just how my boys are, and I respect that. And they don't love me any less. I don't love them any less. It's our relationship.
yeah, yeah.
So, I think you were talking about you kind of mentioned about parents telling you, you should do like a teaching thing where you teach kids and I think that sort of takes the humor. I guess you could apply humor to it, but it sort of takes the humor out of it. But there's another guy that actually does that already. And I forget, he's an older guy. I forget his name. You might know who he is. But he's got a massive following and he does like reels on teaching kids things. And now
Mm,
he's on
okay.
like commercials and stuff. Now he's got like his own commercial so I've seen him on TV doing commercials. I forget his name, but anyways,
Yeah.
it's not important. This is
Yeah.
about Chip.
Yeah. There
Um,
we go.
but yeah, so I think when I think about my boys in particular, I'm trying to relate kind of to what you're doing with your kids and your kind of your story. Um, I started the podcast. I started the podcast really because I was experiencing a different phase of my life where it was very similar to where you're at now. My older son was in college. My younger son was a senior in high school, about to
Mm,
graduate high school, and I felt like my dad journey was coming
mm,
to an end.
yeah.
Uh, and I had been so involved in their lives, and now
Mm,
they're about to go off into this adult world, and I was going to be an empty nester with my wife, which I was looking forward to and all that. But at the same time, I'm like, all I know is dad. That's
right.
it.
Yeah.
Like that's it. What do I do now? What am I supposed to do with myself? And
Yeah.
somebody had mentioned, you should do a show to help other dads that are kind of going in the journey of being a
Mm,
parent, whether they're a new dad or even a seasoned dad. And so that's kind of how it started. And I've done some funny stuff. I've had some funny guests on. I've had some serious guests on, and
mhm,
one of the things that I love about my show is that it's teachable for dads and parents can watch it. It doesn't have to be just for dads. It can be for parents, for
mm.
moms and dads. And I've had my boys on. My boys have been on my show. Believe it or not,
Nice. Nice.
believe it or
Yeah.
not, as much
Yeah.
as they don't like me posting about them, they have actually been guests on my show.
Yeah.
And that was probably the how do I say this gently without impacting them? I guess I'll just say it. That was probably the worst episode I've ever done uh, because I was nervous to
Yeah.
interview my own boys.
Yeah.
And so I had like these scripted questions, and
Yeah.
it sounded so scripted, and it was just it should have been in your dad book. Hey, Dad, how can you? Because it was very cringy. It was just very weird.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much longer I'm going to go. And for you, I mean, you're kind of, you know, the only way you keep going is through other ideas from other parents. And that's
Right.
probably the
Yeah.
only way that I keep going.
Yeah. I mean, how has the experience been for you as your kids have gotten older and at least one of them's out of the house now? Like, do you feel like it is like less parenting or what's the experience for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm more of a guidance counselor now. So
Mm,
my boys are entering phase like my younger son's going to get married next week, and
mhm,
by the time this airs, he'll be getting married. So it's and then my older son, he's kind of he's very successful. He works for Charles Schwab and all
mhm,
that. He does his thing. But for me, it's more of when they're starting to enter different phases of the adult world or have challenges about things that happen to them at this age, where my older son is, 27, my younger son's 25. I mean, it's like when they have these challenges, then they go, Dad,
mm.
call him up.
Yeah.
Dad,
Yeah.
I have this going on. What should I do here? How should I handle this? Or what? And those phases are cool because that phase of
Yeah.
my parenting life is cool because I can give the advice, give the suggestion, and
Hmm.
they don't have to take it. Like when
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
our kids are growing up, it's like, here, this is what you're going to do,
Right.
and
Right.
because you don't know any different, if you don't do it this way, this is going to happen. So you're going to do this, and your kids typically
Yeah.
will listen to you and do
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
tell them to do. Your kids
Yeah.
need to listen to and do what you tell them to do. But now it's like my boys take my advice or not, and it doesn't affect me
Right.
either way. Like
Right.
he didn't take my
Yeah.
advice, okay, that's fine. So he took a different route, and that's totally cool. That's where my parenting is right now. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
like my younger son getting married. It's like he's asked me different things about, like we went golfing. This episode's not even about me. It's just about Chip. But my son and I went golfing. My younger son and I went golfing about 2 weeks ago, and um, he asked me to go golfing, which was very
Mm,
out of the
nice.
blue. But
Yeah.
we had the best time. We had such a great time. And he said, what's some advice you can give me about, having a successful marriage? He wanted
Wow.
to know, like, give me a point or two that I can use to really help my marriage stay successful. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, he's getting married, and he wanted to. That's what he asked me. That was the
Yeah.
the the important question that he had to ask me to go golfing. So I gave him the advice. I gave him a couple pointers on what I thought he could do to have a
Yeah.
successful marriage. Because my wife and I have been together going on 30 years, and
Yeah.
he wanted to know, and so I gave him that advice. That's where I'm at as a parent, and that's my point is that's what makes my journey right now cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense to me. It makes me think like my son who's 22, like he was I helped him like set up like an investment account and a Roth IRA and stuff recently. And it's like, and I've got a fair bit of experience with investing, but like I put together a bunch of information for him and explain, these are the historical returns of the different indexes and what you might consider and think about. And he thought it was really helpful. And then but I didn't tell him like what investments to make. And he kind of took that and ran with it. And once in a while I ask him, hey, how's it going? He's like, oh yeah, I'm mostly doing this or that. But it's like, it's nice when they get to that point where like they want where they ask you for information. Like that's the other thing I like about the whole teenager text message thing is like when kids feel comfortable enough to ask you a dumb question, like it's kind of nice because they could just look it up on YouTube or TikTok or wherever and
Right.
get the answer, but they choose to ask you instead, and they feel comfortable enough being vulnerable, asking you dumb questions. So I think it's good because like I mean when I was a kid and I went away to college, it was like I would maybe like call my parents once a week from from a phone like down the hall, but like now you can stay connected to your kids through texting or phone calls or whatever, and like so it's a little bit the empty nest thing is a little different now, right? It's not you're
Yeah.
not quite as disconnected as you were in the past.
Yeah, no. And like I said, my younger son still lives at home, and he's, like I said, when he gets married
Hmm.
in a day or two, and by the time this airs, he'll be getting married, like I said, and he and his wife will be uh living on their own,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's a cool part of their journey. And my older son lives in Arizona. He lives on his own already with his girlfriend, but you bring up the whole college thing. When my older son went to college, he actually sent us a text that said, uh, how do I turn on this washer
yeah.
at
Oh yeah,
at
yeah,
school?" Like he
yeah,
didn't know how to do it. He was at the college dorm, and we're like, "Wait, what?" And so he knew how to wash clothes because he's washed his own clothes at our house.
yeah.
But we call him up and we're like, "Dude, what do you mean? How do you turn on the washer?" And he's like, "Well, there's a thing at the top of it that has like these slots in it." And I'm like,
Coins?
"Okay, so you need to put coins in there. That's a coin
Oh yeah,
operated machine.
yeah,
So it's not going to, when you hit the start button, it's not turning on, right?" He said, "No."
yeah,
I said, "You've got to put some coins in that." Oh, where do I get the coins?
yeah. That
You have to go get the quarters, buddy. That's what
no,
you have to
that's
do. That,
that is actually one of the most common text messages I've heard, or it's up there. Is like kids will be like, I need to use like coins for this washing machine. Can you just order those for me on Amazon? It's like, no, I'm not ordering coins on Amazon. Like you can get those.
dude, yeah, order coins on that. That would actually be pretty cool if you could actually order rolls of coins. Like you pay,
Right.
$5 and you get
Yeah.
$5 worth of rolls of coins. That would actually be
Right.
kind of,
Maybe you can. I don't know.
you might be able to. You're right.
Yeah.
What do you think today's dads are kind of struggling with when it comes to, um, you know, maybe wrong parenting or right parenting? What do you think dads today are really struggling? What have you seen in some of the messages and stuff that you've gotten?
Yeah, I mean, I do go back to what you said earlier around sort of like you got to find the right balance between like telling your kids what to do and just like sort of guiding them or giving them ideas. And I think some in some marriages there's different points of view between the parents. Like my wife and I are, sometimes have slightly different points of view on like,
Mhm.
she's would more default to like doing something for the kid, and I'd be more default to like, well, let's kind of let them do it and see what mistakes they make or not. And so, I think I don't know. I think finding that balance is a big part of it. I think everybody's like time strapped, right? And so it's that doesn't make parenting any easier. I mean, I guess it's always been that way, but I think just with the proliferation of devices and so much going on, and everyone's attention is like sort of defrayed in different directions, that makes it tougher. So I think just focus, I'm sure, is probably a thing for today's dads. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that you bring up the kind of the differences between how husbands and wives kind of parent.
Mm,
It was kind of the same way with us. Like, there'd be circumstances or situations that would come up where my wife would be like, "Oh, we got to do this for him," and I'd be like, "Wait a minute, wait, let's kind of." And my wife would freak out.
right,
She'd be like, "No, no, 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 we can't. I don't want him." Basically, I don't want him falling flat on his face. And I'm like,
right,
"Yeah,
right.
I don't want him falling flat on his face either, but we need to allow him to at least trip a little. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
we don't have to let him completely fall and wipe out, but he needs to trip a little so he can kind of learn his way back to
yeah,
and that's tough for parents. That's tough for husbands and wives because I mean, you can have some serious discussions that could, turn into, arguments and things like that
yeah,
over differences of how to parent. And
right.
listen, we get our ways of how to parent, we get from how we were parented. And
Mm,
uh, so my wife's parents treated her differently or raised her differently than
right.
how my parents raised me. And
Yeah,
so my only recollection of how to parent is how my parents parented me.
yeah,
And so when I'm going through life with my boys, I reflect on things that have happened to them or going to happen to them that were happened to me when I was a kid, and
right. Yeah.
I would kind of guide them in that way, where my wife does the same thing, and it could be completely two different avenues.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I read a book like when my kids were young. I think it's called How to Raise an Adult, and basic concept was like you're not trying to raise like a kid. You're trying to raise an adult. So like you can't do everything for them. And so I often refer to that when my wife and I have discussions about that. It's like, hey, we're trying to raise an adult actually here, not a kid forever. So you have to, yeah, you got to loosen the reins the right way. But every kid's different, and so you got to calibrate that differently, right? That's
Hmm.
the best advice somebody gave me, I think, at like a baby shower before my son was born, was like, there's no one right way to raise a kid. There's only a right way to raise your kid. So you got to just know them and know what they need and what they don't need, and calibrate it that way. So
Yeah, no,
I found that to be really useful. Yeah.
that is great advice, and it's so true. And yeah, I think for my boys, yeah, there were times where, I would have to kind of step in and just go, listen, honey, this is not how we need to make sure we handle it this way. Because if we
Mm,
don't, we could end up, I mean, almost like I had to teach my wife, like, if we don't handle it this way, you want to handle it your way. What's going to happen when we handle it your way is this. And you got to be that gentle because otherwise it turns into a big old argument. But
yeah.
um, yeah, I think you are raising adults. You're not
Right.
raising kids because they're only a kid for a second. They're
Right. Right.
adults much longer than they're going to be kids.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the point of that book, and it's true.
Yeah.
We had to raise our two boys as adults, and it is scary to think of your little kids being adults, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's the direction you have to go.
Yeah.
Um, so can you, when you look back at the things that you've done with your kids, what's a moment with your kids that seems small now, but maybe you'll miss like crazy one day?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, there's a billion of them, right? I
Yeah.
think about this a lot. The one I've been thinking about lately is so like I said, my daughter's a senior in high school, so it's, months before she's out of the house, and I'm usually the one that makes breakfast for her on school days. So I get up at, the same time and I make her breakfast like every day. And it's like, it's a it's a core routine. And it's like, as I just think about the fall when, okay, I'm not going to be setting the alarm for the same time, making breakfast and, it's the morning before school. So she's not talking or anything like that, but still there's like, I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things I'm sure that I'll look back and I'll be like, oh, I'm just making breakfast for myself today or whatever. It's, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Those moments are tough,
Yeah.
especially the first day that it happens that you're like, oh, this is no more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think just with my son getting married, it's like, hmm. So now
Crazy. Yeah.
uh, he's still my son, but now he's in a completely different, he's in a completely different chapter of his life that
Yeah.
it's completely different. Like there's no more of just him being my son with a girlfriend or a fiance or whatever. Now it's
Yeah.
completely different. Like his life is going a completely different direction
Yeah.
when that happens on that day. And yeah, just like So this time next week, we're on day of the week. We're on Tuesday. So next week, Tuesday, it'll already be done.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
Well, now
like
it'll be
it's
be amazing, but you kind of get demoted, I guess, in terms of
yeah,
your role, right? Yeah,
yeah. I mean, think about it. I mean, he'll be asking, he and his wife will be talking about, how to navigate through things. Now, they might still call every once in a while to figure out different things, but
yeah,
yeah. So you're gonna miss that
yeah, yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah,
But it's gonna be a new chapter for her. And obviously you're going through it with your son now, but it's gonna be a new
yeah,
chapter for her, and it's gonna be exciting. So
yeah, yeah,
uh, yeah, don't blink, parents. I'm telling you, it's true. Do not blink because there are those moments that you'll be like, that's never gonna happen again. And
yep,
I kind of thinking back when I started the show, almost 7 years ago, that I think back how I started the show. It's like both my older son was in college, my younger son was about to graduate high school. I can remember, you could probably do this too. Most parents can, I guess. Chip, I can remember dropping my son off to his first day of high school
yeah,
and sitting there in the parking lot and watching him walk away from the car, and you reflect on that and you go,
mm,
this is the last first day of high school that he'll ever have.
right, yeah,
And now he's, like I said, he's 5, 6 years out of college, and it's like it just goes by so fast.
yeah, yeah.
So
By the way, the pickup and drop off is a common source of material for me. I get a lot of like, "Hey, you can pick me up now. Just park where no one can see you." That kind of
right.
text or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Or the, they get to, here's another thing, parents, your kids will get to an age where they do not want hugs anymore. You cannot hug them
Mm,
goodbye in front of
mm,
their friends. Now, there might be still some kids that there's exceptions to every rule, but my boys, when they hit the junior high years, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, that was absolutely a zero. No, not happening.
yeah,
Do not
yeah,
hug me. You can say goodbye to me, but that's it. Do not hug me. Do not give me a kiss on the forehead. None of that kind of BS is going on
mm,
because my friends are going to see, and that's just not happening. So
yeah,
that's funny that you get those kind of messages too from parents.
yeah.
The comment. Okay, so I'm going to send you a common text that I received from my son.
Mm,
I'm going to tell you what it is. It's not funny, but I'm going to tell you what it is, and it's very common that we get it almost, well, not quite daily, but we get it pretty often, especially on the weekends. Um, it's usually around dinner time. He is typically not home. He's about to come home, and we'll get a text. What are y'all doing for dinner? That's the
nice.
text, like
Right.
constantly. So
Yeah.
like I'll get it, like we'll get the text, and my wife will go, oh, or I'll say, what did, we'll be driving or something, so I won't read a text, and I'll say, hey, what did Brett just text us? Did you see us text us something? Oh, he probably just wants to know what we're doing for dinner, because
Yeah.
that's a common text from him. What are
Yeah.
you all doing for dinner? So, like I said, not funny, but very common.
That's
Uh,
that's nice though. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I thought you
Um,
were gonna say like probably the most common one I see is like send me the code, some kind of Netflix login or whatever.
that's
Like
my wife, bro.
Okay, that's all right,
That's my
right.
wife. She's like
Yeah,
like on Amazon. It's like, can you send me the code you just got from Amazon? I'm like,
yeah.
why are they sending you like wanting a code from
No,
you? You're on the account. Like, I
I
don't know.
know. And
That's the
then
other thing I don't understand about Amazon. They want these codes and it's like, they're on the account. Like, why do they need a code? But
no, and then you're like 30 seconds too late, and it's like another
yeah,
one, and
then you
it's
got to
like a
start again.
endless
Never
cycle. Yeah.
mind. I got to re have it resent. Okay.
The best version I heard this really recently. The best version of that was like from a kid. He was like, "Hey mom, if you're not in the MRI tube yet, can you send me the 4-digit Netflix code?" It's like, all right, just let me. I'm in the middle of something here.
Yeah. No, my older son will routinely send a message asking what the password is for
Yeah,
some
yeah,
account that we have as a family unit, whether it's a Netflix or, Amazon Prime or whatever. Uh, but we will very often get a message from my older son saying, "Hey, what's the password for this account?" We have like,
yeah,
obviously parents, we all have like these 20 subscriptions to different things.
yeah,
And so I keep them on a general log
yeah,
that so I remember what they all are. I keep them on a general log, and my younger son has kind of some of those passwords already. So he commonly will actually respond to my older son, to his older
Oh,
brother. So
oh,
he'll
nice.
come respond to the older brother
Yeah,
going, "This is what the password is,"
yeah,
because he keeps all that stuff too. Anyways, so yeah. Well, Chip, I think it's cool what you're doing. I think, whenever we can, it's not making fun of what our kids are saying to us. It's just having a little fun with, text messages that we receive. And we, as parents, we all get them. We all get these really random, hysterical, or maybe even at times kind of dumb questions or text
yeah,
messages that we'll
yeah.
receive from our kids. And, what Chip's doing is really cool. He's just kind of having fun with it, and with his new book coming out, where can people reach get the new book and all that?
Yeah, so I mean, my account is I call it the Leighton Show. So it's Leighton. So you can find that on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or you can go to thelaytonshow.com. And the new book is called "Dad, Can You Not? A Dad's Guide to Being Less Cringy," and you can get that anywhere books are sold. And it's yeah, it's I think it's fun. It's just to give people a sense of like the types of dad stories that are in there. It's like there's a guy who he ate an entire bowl of Thousand Island dressing because he thought it was soup. It's a lot of those kind of moves. This whole excuse me, whole chapter on food. There's a guy who tried to microwave his hamburger in the hotel safe. A lot of sort of confused moments like that. But there's a guy who I have a whole thing on the drive-through. There's a guy who he was trying to order a large huckleberry shake, but he ordered a dingleberry shake by mistake. So there's a lot of good stuff, a lot of things to avoid. I've got some quizzes and charts and graphs and other fun stuff, and lots of text in there. So I think people will enjoy it. Obviously, it'd be a great Father's Day gift if anyone's thinking about that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I think trying to microwave in a safe is kind of a like, what were you
It's
thinking,
I've
bro?
heard it multiple times just for the
That
just
is
so you know.
insane that you've
Yeah,
heard that
yeah,
multiple times. I could see maybe
yeah,
one person in the world trying to do
yeah,
that. But the fact that you've heard it multiple times, holy cow.
yeah.
Um, that's like where kids, oh my gosh, I don't know what, there's got to be something that I've done that my boys just went, "Dad, seriously, bro. Like, can you not?"
Yeah,
There's got to
yeah.
be something. Maybe it's a picture, try a picture that I tried to take of them or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I
I'll
have a whole chapter on like texting and social media. I'm sure there's something in there, the wrong use of emojis and acronyms and stuff like that. But
Oh, dude, that's
you'll,
great. That's
yeah,
great. Well, cool. Well, Chip, listen, for anybody that wants to follow him, you go to social, all the links are in the show notes below. So his
yeah,
social media is there, all his links are there, the book links there. So grab the book, check out what he's doing. I'm telling you, the reels are funny. Just go and, you want to kick back and just chill and kind of mindlessly scroll through your phone like everybody does every day. You come across his page. I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy some of the text messages you see, and you're going to relate to them. You're going to have
mm,
your kids are going to be, you're going to be like, "I've gotten that text from my son, or I've
mm,
gotten that text from my daughter." So, because I have certainly seen some that I went, "Yep, I know exactly where that's coming from." But Chip, dude, thanks for being on, brother. Thanks for doing what you do. Thanks for being the dad that you are. Keep inspiring dads to just kind of have fun with their dad journey. I think it's awesome what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to staying in touch with you, brother.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, no, I appreciate what you're doing. And yeah, it was a really fun conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, guys, it's been another great episode of Dad Up. Want to thank my good friend Chip Leighton for being on the show. Please make sure you guys, like I said, check out what he's doing. You guys will love it. And as always, if you are not yet subscribed to my show, please make sure you do that so you don't miss any of the awesome guests that I have on each and every week. And I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Dad Up. Wow, another amazing episode in the books. So much was shared, and I'm truly grateful my guest was able to pour into you to help you elevate your dad game and really dad up. Make sure you bang that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're here, please don't forget to leave me a rating and a review. I always appreciate the feedback. And one last thing, don't forget, your role as a dad is one of the most important roles you have. So if you need a little help or have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on my website at daduptribe.com or at my Instagram page at Dad Up Podcast. Until next time, everyone, Dad Up.